Cheese is everywhere in the American kitchen. It's on your burgers, your sandwiches, your kids' lunches, but what if the slice in your fridge isn't really cheese at all? Behind those shiny wrappers, many best-selling products are made with vegetable oils, chemical emulsifiers, artificial dyes, and only traces of real dairy. Some are so processed, the FDA won't even let them be labeled as cheese. Today we're revealing the cheese products every household should avoid, and the final one on this list is the clearest example of how far companies will stretch the definition of cheese to keep profits high. Number 9. Kraft Singles. If there's one cheese product that defined American childhoods, it's Kraft Singles, that iconic yellow slice wrapped in plastic, perfect for grilled cheese sandwiches and packed lunches. It's been a refrigerator staple for generations, passed down from parents to children like some kind of dairy tradition. But here's what most people don't realize. Those singles aren't technically cheese. Flip the package over and you'll see the words pasteurized prepared cheese product. That's the FDA's way of saying this doesn't contain enough real cheese to legally be called cheese. It's a regulatory admission hiding in plain sight. So what's actually in there? The ingredient list includes milk, whey, milk protein concentrate, modified food starch, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, sorbic acid, and artificial colors like annatto and apocarotinol. That's a lot of additives for something most people consider simple dairy. Real cheese requires milk, salt, enzymes, and cultures. Kraft Singles require a chemistry degree to understand. Each slice contains around 200 milligrams of sodium. Use 2 or 3 slices on a sandwich, and you're already approaching 600 milligrams, roughly 25% of your daily limit from cheese alone. That's before adding any condiments, bread, or deli meat. The emulsifiers are what create that unnaturally smooth, almost plastic-like melt. Real cheese doesn't behave that way because real cheese isn't engineered in a lab. Modified food starch acts as a filler to cut costs and bulk up the product, giving you less actual dairy per slice. If Kraft Singles taste more like salted rubber than aged dairy, now you know why. This childhood classic belongs in the past, and this next one is so processed, the FDA refused to call it cheese. Number 8. Velveeta. Velveeta has been marketed as liquid gold for decades. That bright orange block that melts into impossibly smooth queso, perfect for nachos and party dips. It sits in the grocery aisle unrefrigerated, which should be your first clue that something isn't quite right. But behind that velvety texture is a product so far removed from real cheese that the FDA forced a label change years ago. Velveeta is officially classified as a pasteurized prepared cheese product. It fails to meet the legal standard for actual cheese. When you examine the ingredients, it's easy to understand why. The list reads like a chemistry experiment. Milk protein concentrate, whey protein concentrate, milk fat, sodium phosphate, sodium citrate, sodium alginate, lactic acid, sorbic acid, and artificial color. These emulsifiers and stabilizers create that signature melt, not traditional cheesemaking. There's no aging, no culture development, no craftsmanship involved. Here's a number that should concern you. A single 1-ounce serving contains around 410 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly 18% of your daily limit in just one small portion. Most people eat far more than an ounce when dipping chips or pouring it over pasta. A typical bowl of Velveeta queso can easily exceed 1,200 milligrams of sodium before you've even finished snacking. Real cheese separates and browns when heated. Velveeta stays unnervingly smooth because it's designed to, not crafted to. If your queso never breaks, that's not quality. That's industrial engineering, masking the absence of real dairy. Velveeta might be nostalgic, but nostalgia doesn't make it nutritious. Your grandmother might have served it, but she probably didn't know what was really inside. And if you think Velveeta is bad, the next one barely qualifies as food. Number 7. Great value imitation cheese slices. When you're shopping at Walmart trying to save money, that great value label looks like a smart choice. Same product, lower price, right? But when it comes to their imitation cheese slices, what you save in cash you pay for with ingredients your body doesn't recognize. This isn't just budget cheese, it's barely cheese at all. The word imitation isn't marketing speak, it's a legal requirement. The FDA mandates that label because this product contains so little actual dairy it cannot be called cheese, processed cheese, or even cheese product. It exists in a category of its own, at the very bottom of the dairy hierarchy. The ingredients tell the story. Water, vegetable oil, modified food starch, casein, sodium aluminum phosphate, salt, and artificial color. Notice what's missing? actual cheese. You're eating a blend of oils and starches engineered to look and somewhat taste like cheese without containing meaningful dairy. It's a simulation, not a food. Some formulations have included partially hydrogenated oils, which contain trans fats linked to heart disease, inflammation, and elevated bad cholesterol. While regulations have tightened, these products can still contain trace amounts that accumulate over time with regular consumption. When you bite into great value imitation cheese, you'll notice a waxy, almost squeaky texture. It doesn't melt properly and leaves a film on your tongue. Try making a grilled cheese with it and you'll see it sweat oil before it ever becomes creamy. That's not cheese. That's food science prioritizing profit over quality. You might think a heritage brand would do better. But the next familiar logo hides just as many secrets. If you're learning something new here, hit subscribe and keep these eye-opening breakdowns coming. Number 6. Borden American Cheese Singles. Borden has been trusted in American kitchens for over 150 years. That friendly Elsie the cow logo evokes pastoral farms and wholesome dairy. It's the kind of branding that makes you feel good about what you're buying. But flip over a package of Borden American Cheese Singles, and that wholesome image starts to crumble faster than aged cheddar. Borden singles are classified as pasteurized processed American cheese, one step above cheese product, but still far from real cheese. The FDA requires this designation because significant additives and processed dairy ingredients are involved. It's a technicality that allows them to sit closer to real cheese on the shelf while being miles away in composition. Inside each slice, you'll find milk, whey, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, sodium citrate, calcium phosphate, sorbic acid, and color additives. That's 9 or more ingredients for something that traditionally needs only 3 or 4. Every additional ingredient represents another step away from authentic dairy. The sodium content raises red flags. Each slice contains approximately 220 milligrams. Use 3 slices on a sandwich, and you've consumed over 650 milligrams, nearly 30% of your daily recommended intake from cheese alone. Add pickles, mustard, and deli meat, and you've created a sodium bomb disguised as lunch. Sodium phosphate, used to create smooth melting properties, has been studied for potential cardiovascular effects when consumed excessively. Research suggests high phosphate intake may contribute to vascular calcification over time, hardening arteries, and increasing cardiac risk. When you taste Borden singles, there's a subtle artificial tang that real aged cheese simply doesn't have. That's the preservatives and emulsifiers doing their job. And if you trust regional favorites, the next one will surprise you. Number 5. Crystal Farms American Slices. Crystal Farms positions itself as a heartland dairy brand, complete with pastoral imagery and promises of quality. The packaging shows rolling green hills and suggests farm fresh goodness. You'll find their products in grocery stores across the Midwest and beyond. But their American slices tell a different story than the packaging suggests. Like other processed cheese products, Crystal Farms American Slices rely heavily on emulsifiers and stabilizers to achieve their texture. The ingredient list includes milk, whey, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, sorbic acid as a preservative, and annatto for color. It's the same industrial formula repeated across the industry with minor variations. What stands out immediately is that rubbery texture many consumers notice. That unnatural bounce and resistance when you bite down isn't a sign of quality. It's a sign of heavy processing. Real cheese has grain and character. It breaks and crumbles with natural variation. It doesn't snap back like plastic or peel apart in uniform sheets. Each slice contains around 200 milligrams of sodium, which adds up quickly in typical usage. Most sandwiches or burgers use multiple slices, pushing sodium intake toward concerning levels before you've added any other ingredients. Kids' meals become inadvertent sodium delivery systems. The sodium citrate and sodium phosphate work together as emulsifying salts, breaking down the protein structure and allowing fat and water to blend seamlessly. This creates shelf stability and consistent melting, but it also creates a product that behaves nothing like traditional cheese. It's predictability at the expense of authenticity. If you're expecting farm fresh quality from Crystal Farms, you'll be disappointed. The name promises countryside authenticity, but the product delivers factory floor chemistry. Still think store brands are the only problem? The next entry shows that regional grocery chains are cutting corners too. Number 4. Food Lion Imitation Cheese. Food Lion serves millions of shoppers across the southeastern and mid-Atlantic United States. Their store brand products offer budget-friendly alternatives to national names. but their imitation cheese product is one budget choice you should skip entirely. The savings aren't worth what you're putting into your body. Once again, that word imitation is legally required. This product fails to meet even the loose standards for processed cheese, so the FDA mandates clear labeling. And when you examine what's inside, the reason becomes obvious. This isn't cheese that fell short of standards. It was never trying to be cheese in the first place. The ingredients include water, palm oil, modified food starch, casein, sodium aluminum phosphate, salt, lactic acid, and artificial color. Real cheese doesn't require palm oil or starch to exist. This product does because it's built to simulate cheese, not actually be cheese. It's a performance, not a food. Palm oil is particularly concerning for multiple reasons. It's high in saturated fat, contributing to elevated LDL cholesterol when consumed regularly. Beyond personal health, palm oil production has been linked to massive deforestation and habitat destruction across Southeast Asia, threatening endangered species and accelerating climate change. Modified food starch serves as a cheap bulking agent, adding weight and texture without nutritional value. It's the same ingredient found in many ultra-processed foods designed to maximize profit margins while minimizing real food content. You're paying for filler and calling it cheese. Sodium aluminum phosphate acts as an emulsifier, but aluminum-based additives have raised questions among some researchers about long-term accumulation effects, though regulatory agencies currently consider them safe in small amounts. When you cook with Food Lion imitation cheese, it behaves strangely. It may sweat oil when heated and never quite achieves that satisfying melt real cheese provides. The mouthfeel is off, leaving a greasy residue rather than creamy richness. Try it on a burger and you'll understand immediately. Regional store brands often fly under the radar, but that doesn't mean they deserve your trust. The next brand on our list comes from a major national chain, proving that bigger isn't always better. Number 3. Lucerne American Singles. Lucerne is Safeway's house brand, found in thousands of stores nationwide. Their American singles sit right next to the national brands, priced lower and packaged to look nearly identical. The average shopper assumes they're getting the same thing for less money, but inside that wrapper is a product engineered for shelf life, not nutritional value. Lucerne American Singles fall into the pasteurized processed American cheese category. The ingredient list includes milk, whey, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, modified food starch, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, sorbic acid, and artificial color. It follows the same industrial template as nearly every other product on this list. That phrase modified food starch keeps appearing across these products for good reason. It's cheap, it's functional, and it allows manufacturers to reduce the amount of actual dairy while maintaining weight and texture. You're essentially paying for filler dressed up as cheese. Every slice contains less real dairy than you think. Sorbic acid is used as a preservative to prevent mold growth and extend shelf life. While generally recognized as safe by the FDA, its presence signals that this product is built to sit in distribution centers and store shelves for extended periods. Fresh, quality cheese doesn't need aggressive preservation because it's meant to be consumed, not stored indefinitely. Each slice contains roughly 210 milligrams of sodium. Safeway markets these as convenient and family-friendly, but convenience shouldn't mean compromising on what you feed your family. Real convenience is knowing exactly what you're eating. The texture of Lucerne Singles is notably plasticky. They peel apart from the wrapper with an almost synthetic smoothness, and when melted, they form a uniform goo that lacks the nuanced behavior of real melted cheese. There's no stretching, no browning, no complexity. Consumer reviews frequently mention a chemical aftertaste and a texture that feels wrong compared to natural cheese. These aren't isolated complaints. They're patterns that reveal what happens when cost-cutting drives product development rather than quality standards. Store brands can offer genuine value, but Lucerne American Singles aren't delivering quality. They're delivering processed convenience at the expense of real nutrition. Think we've seen the worst? The next brand drops the cheese content even lower. Number 2. Essential Everyday American Slices. Essential Everyday is a store brand found in numerous regional grocery chains across the country. It positions itself as an affordable alternative for budget-conscious families. The name itself suggests these are basics you need, staples you can trust. But their American slices are a perfect example of how low prices often mean low-quality ingredients. These slices are classified as pasteurized processed American cheese, which already indicates heavy processing. But a closer look at the ingredient list reveals just how far removed this product is from real cheese. It's not even a close approximation. You'll find water, milk fat, milk protein concentrate, whey, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, sorbic acid, artificial color, and milk. Notice that milk appears near the end, meaning it's present in smaller quantities than the additives, water, and processed dairy components listed before it. Ingredients are listed by weight, so actual milk is an afterthought in this product. The milk protein concentrate and whey are dairy industry byproducts, cheap alternatives to using real cheese or whole milk. They provide some protein, but lack the complex flavor development and nutritional profile of traditionally made cheese. They're what's left over after the valuable parts have been extracted for other purposes. Sodium content sits around 200 milligrams per slice, consistent with other processed options, but problematic when you consider actual cheese delivers flavor and nutrition without excessive salt loads. You shouldn't need that much sodium to make cheese taste like cheese. Essential everyday slices have a notably artificial flavor profile. There's a subtle sweetness and chemical tang that genuine cheese never produces. The texture is uniformly rubbery, with no variation or character that indicates natural dairy processing. Every bite is identical in the worst possible way. Some consumers report that these slices don't melt as expected. They may clump, separate, or turn grainy when heated. That's because the balance of emulsifiers and starches reacts unpredictably under different cooking conditions, revealing the engineering behind the product. When a product is engineered to hit a price point rather than a quality standard, this is what you get. And the number one is a product that barely deserves to be in the dairy aisle at all. Number 1. Kroger American Pasteurized Processed Cheese Product. At the top of our list sits Kroger's store brand American Pasteurized Processed Cheese Product. Notice that name carefully. It doesn't say cheese, it says cheese product. That distinction exists because this item is so heavily processed it fails to meet even the minimal standards required to be labeled as cheese. The FDA drew a line and Kroger landed on the wrong side of it. Kroger operates thousands of stores nationwide, making this one of the most widely available processed cheese products in America. Millions of families buy it every week without ever questioning what's inside. And it might also be one of the most misleading products in the dairy section. The ingredient list is extensive: water, milk fat, whey, milk protein concentrate, modified food starch, sodium citrate, sodium phosphate, salt, lactic acid, sorbic acid, artificial color, and milk. That's 12 or more components for something that should contain 4 at most. Every ingredient beyond the basics represents a compromise. What strikes hardest is the reliance on dairy byproducts over actual cheese. Whey and milk protein concentrate are industrial leftovers, cheap and functional, but devoid of the flavor complexity and nutritional balance found in real aged cheese. The modified food starch bulks out the product, adding weight without value. You're buying water and fillers marketed as dairy. Sodium levels reach approximately 230 milligrams per slice. The artificial color creates that familiar yellow-orange appearance that consumers associate with American cheese, even though natural cheese varies widely in color depending on milk source and aging process. That uniform color is a manufactured lie. When you cook with Kroger cheese product, it melts into an almost gelatinous consistency. It doesn't brown, crisp, or develop those flavorful edges real cheese achieves under heat. It simply becomes a uniform, slightly greasy layer that coats your food without enhancing it. Consumer reports consistently mention a plastic-like texture and an aftertaste that lingers unpleasantly. These observations aren't coincidence. They're the predictable outcome of a product designed around cost minimization rather than genuine quality. Kroger American Pasteurized Processed Cheese Product represents everything wrong with the modern dairy aisle. It looks like cheese. It's sold like cheese, but it fails at being cheese in every way that matters. Like, your body deserves better, and fortunately better options exist.